Buongiorno, buon popolo. One of my favourite parables is of the labourers in the vineyard in St Matthew's Gospel. A vineyard owner goes out early and hires workers for the day. He goes out later and hires some more, and again at lunchtime and mid-afternoon. And then at the end of the day, he hired yet more. When the day is finished, the labourers queue up for their pay, and those who started work last receive theirs first, and they received a full day's pay. The others expected that they would be paid more, especially those who had started right at the beginning of the day and worked the heat of the whole day through, but they received the same pay. They grumbled, but the vineyard owner asks one of them, "Are you envious because I am generous?" He paid a full day's wage for those who worked a full day, all fair and as had been agreed at the start. Like all of Jesus' parables, this shows the upside-down values of God's kingdom. God loves us equally, whatever our perceived status or worth, and that affects how we should treat each other. Like many of the parables, no one could imagine that this would happen in real life, because the next day people wouldn't be looking to get hired early if they thought they could get a full day's pay by starting later, and that would be social and economic chaos. Of course, Jesus' stories are not a manual for business managers, but rather a description of the kingdom of heaven, to remind us how generous God is and how generosity, either in kind or in spirit, is at the heart of our Christian calling. Mark and Luke express the sentiment much more pithily in the words, "The last shall be first, and the first shall be last." The pandemic has been a severe stress test of our national mood, and in these times we are aware of many challenges to our capacity to be generous. This past week I have pondered, why has it been so difficult to be generous to GCSE, A-level and BTEC students, giving them the best possible hope in such a time of uncertainty? Why do we begrudge those who are fleeing war and risking everything to step into a dinghy to cross the English Channel? I notice that to incentivise the wealthy, we have to reduce their burden of tax, their contribution to wider society. But to incentivise the poor, we have to reduce what access they have even to the most basic of human needs. The gospel challenges us to evaluate our ethical values, and this is something which St. Francis recognised deeply in his devotion and concern for the poor. Next weekend, we are going to host Greenbelt in our church hall, and if the weather permits, on the field as well. Greenbelt is a Christian arts and music festival which usually takes place at the August bank holiday in Northamptonshire in the grounds of Boughton House. There are performance spaces in tents, marquees and outdoors, with speakers, music and discussions focused on justice, peace and the integrity of creation. Last year, over 20 of us went from St. Francis Church, but because of the pandemic, this year it is only happening online. So we have decided to stream the event at the church hall next Saturday. Printed in our bulletin and available via our website, weekly email and Facebook group is a programme for the day. If the weather is good, we hope to be outdoors. Otherwise, we'll use the church hall with appropriate social distancing and hygiene measures in place. It will be possible to come and watch and listen and discuss with those others who are able to be there the issues and ideas raised by the events that we will be able to watch. In addition, on the Sunday at Greenbelt, there is a Eucharist in what they call the Big Top, and this year they are inviting people to have open-air communions at home, and so this is what we intend to do. Again, weather permitting, we will have an outdoor communion service at 12:30 next Sunday, the 30th of August, which means that the 11:30 in-person Eucharist will not be taking place. We will endeavour to arrange seating for everyone who would like to attend. So if we know in advance that you're coming, that would be helpful. If you have a camping chair or a blanket, then why don't you bring that as well? Of course, this is very different from anything we've tried before at St. Francis, but one of the consequences of the pandemic is that it is encouraging us to rethink how we function as a church community. I know also that it's been a time of reflection for individuals as well, an opportunity to re-evaluate their discipleship, and for many of us, a chance to go deeper with our spiritual life. It's a source of great encouragement that there's now a regular group of people at the live-streamed morning and evening prayer on our church's Facebook page. And also we've started a WhatsApp prayer group for sharing prayer intentions. If you would like to join this group, please let me know. And if you have anything you'd like others to pray for, I'd be happy to pass it on. Through me, it's always possible to ask for prayers anonymously. No one else need know, apart of course from myself, and I promise complete confidentiality. This will also give you the assurance and knowledge of prayerful solidarity from other members of our church, and a reminder that we are all held in the hollow of God's hand. In the early days of the lockdown, many people found that routines had been altered, life became more constrained, and we were forced onto an inner journey that perhaps we often spend too much of our busy lives ignoring. I've a hunch that in the future we will come to see this as a blessing, not only for individuals, but for our church community and our wider community as well, as new perspectives and a new appreciation and deeper awareness of the spirituality of our faith emerge, and which will lead us into new patterns of worship, love and service. And we shall come to know and be known by God more and more.